Hey, I'm Ted Santos. You know me. I am Straight Talk. We are the talk show made for men by men, and I am going to complete my top 10 list of reasons men shouldn't be in relationships. This is so important that I had to come out of nowhere. I'm going to slide out of the ethers, and then I'm going to share this with, I'm going to share the responsibility with this guy over there, with him, or he's going to share it with me. We're going to work this out. This was such a big topic that I had to cut this in two, which meant I had to divide myself in two. You see how that worked? You get it? Ha ha. So clearly, being a comedian isn't my calling. When people talk about purpose in life. So anyway, I just ran down the top. I did it in a different video. I ran top 10, and I only went from number 10 to number 6. And from here, we're going to continue that list, and we're starting with number 5. We have a little bit of sound effect, and we are going to look at. We're going to jump right into this, and we're going to get into number 5. These are the top 10 reasons. This is part 2 of why men do not need to be in committed relationships. Number 5. You guys know this. You've seen it. She is not feminine. She's just not. And so let's set the record straight. So many women in the US, they're not feminine. And it doesn't mean she's masculine. So to be masculine, you have to be born with a biochemistry. And women, you can't buy that. Even if you get the physical surface operation, you're still biologically and biochemistry a woman. Also, our brains function differently. So in women's attempt to mimic men, she's lost her femininity. The problem is they'll never be a man, no matter how hard they attempt to copy. And so while copying men is flattering to us, it's nice, you want to be like us. You know, I'm a man, I want to be a man. It also denies men what we want from a woman. And the result is the woman attempting to mimic us so much puts her in a confused state. You know, it's actually criminal to say a woman is being masculine because she's not. She has no clue. She doesn't even have the brain or the biochemistry to support her to be there. It's just a parrot. It's like a parrot that can mimic sounds and actions. That's all it is. The actual intelligence behind being a man and the biochemistry, no woman has access to it. Otherwise, she'd be a man. So, number 5 is she's not feminine. And so, how many men desire a woman who's not feminine? How many women desire a man who's not masculine? I mean, have women actually considered that? There are consequences. So, that is number 5. Continuing our list of the top 10, we're going from 5 to 1. Number 4. Number 4. Some of you need to think about what I'm going to say for number 4, because this one defies many things that we have been told. Number 4. She does not want to be led by a man. She does not. She doesn't. They can tell you all these things about how a man should lead. It's amazing. So let's get into this. Ask a woman why she wants to be led by a man, and what you'll get is a room full of crickets. See, women only say a man should lead because that is what someone told her to say. The reality is, women have been told they are smarter than men. Why would you allow someone who's not smarter than you lead you? She's also been told that she's more mature than men. She's also been told that men only want one thing. Therefore, men think with their little head. All these lies could easily cause women to have a very low view of men. So why would you want to follow someone when you're already looking down on them? You just ask a woman why she wants to be led by a man. She'll have no answer for you because she doesn't want to be led by you. She already has a view of you. So what men need to understand is women will say one thing and do another. She will say a man should lead. Then she will attempt to lead you from the bottom. What does that mean, lead from the bottom? It is taking sexual intercourse, right? So the man is on top. Supposedly during sex, whoever's on top is in control of what happens during sex. Yet many women have figured out, even though she's on the bottom and whoever's on top can control, a lot of women have figured out how to lead from the bottom and give the man the illusion that he's in control. So from a mental perspective, women will let a man believe, oh, you're in control, honey, you're the leader. Yet she is in absolute control. She condemns you for being masculine. She condemns you for wanting to make decisions and guide her, and she'll tell you how you're trying to control her, and all these things will get you to back off, and then she just quietly moves things in a different direction, which is what she was intending to do the whole time. But just telling you, blah, 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 like a parrot, you're the leader, you're the leader, you're the leader. And you don't see you're being led from the bottom. So, how many men are excited about being led from the bottom while you're being deceived to believe you are leading? Is that a number one answer on the board? No. But maybe some guys do. So, and if you do, that's cool. That's your life. So, that's number 4. She does not want to be led by you. Smile in your face. The number 3 reason to not be in a committed relationship. Number 3. This one you guys can get. It's easy. Almost don't have to say much about it. Number 3. She plays victim. See, playing victim is a great strategy to avoid being responsible for anything. A woman can cheat on her husband, and when she gets caught, she'll figure out a way to prove she was the victim and it was the man's fault she had to cheat. See, for hundreds of years, so that's just one scenario that can cover lots of different ground, right? I'm in a patriarchy. I can't do anything. I'm just a victim. I'm oppressed. I can't do anything. For hundreds of years, women have inherited money from their wealthy fathers and grandfathers. So look at names like Rockefeller, Vanderbilt, Carnegie, Ford, Astor, Morgan, and the list goes on of these wealthy men who left money for their sons and daughters and granddaughters, money for generations. These women have had access to millions, hundreds of millions. And if we fast forward over the past at least 80 years, there are lots of women who inherited billions. Look at the Walton family. There are plenty of women, I won't say tons, there are plenty of women out here who are inheriting hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. Yet, they do not use that money to create industries, nor do they even use it to invest in women-only companies. They put their money in the stock market and invest in companies founded by men. So at the same time, women will claim they are victims of the patriarchy. And as long as women can prove they are victims, they'll never have to be responsible for taking the same kinds of risks men take. See, women won't risk their inheritance on creating a new industry. Men do. See, they can simply blame it on the oppressive patriarchy. And when you ask why they don't pack up their bags and leave, they'll give you another victim story. Like if they can do all these great things and the patriarchy is so oppressive, it's like telling your teenage kid, well, if I'm that oppressive, pack up and go. Go do it on your own. You don't need me oppressing you in my household. As I said, men have built all civilizations. And women have the same opportunities for decades of having millions, hundreds of millions, and billions of dollars, and yet still they've done nothing. Nothing with it. They'll just play victim. Number 2. This is a big one. We're getting close to the number 1 reason. Number 2. Many of you will attempt to refute this, but let's get down into it. Number 2. Inability. The inability to think for herself. And yes, you'll scream, oh, we're educated. More women have education now. Women have had education for just like they've had access to wealth, they've had education also. So let's not go down that path. See, here's how you know women don't think for themselves. Women have been told to go against their nature, and they're actually doing it. See, the result is they're not as happy as they were 40 or 50 years ago. Women were told being feminine or stay-at-home mom is weak. Like, how could being feminine be weak when that's the way you were born? That's your biochemistry. It's like, why would you be ashamed? Why would you let someone convince you that that's a weakness? Why would you let someone convince you that raising your children is not an important job, that it's a weakness, and that if you don't outsource motherhood to someone else and go leave your children and get an education, that's weak? Like, why would you let someone talk you out of that? And I already went through how women want special privileges in the workforce. So, like, why would women believe what the feminists have told them? Like, how can you allow someone to talk you out of something you were created to be? So, there are lots of things women have been told and haven't thought about why they are making these moves. She heard she should be able to lead a man. She knows nothing about leadership, yet she wants you to follow her. How does that work? See, when a woman can't think for herself, there will always be someone outside of your relationship making decisions for the two of you. She'll be going and getting advice, and she'll actually trust that person because it's a woman. And so she'll be listening to someone who may or may not have her best interest at heart. So third-party interference is really a major reason a lot of relationships fail. Divorces, you hear it all the time. The wife who had a single bitter friend who talked her out of her own marriage. So even though women may see you more clearly, so here's what I'm saying. Even though a woman over time will see, like she'll clearly see that you are more mature than she is. You're more intelligent than she is. What is she going to do? Is she going to think for herself and acknowledge that, wow, I'm with a guy who's really smart. He's much more mature than me. No, she's going to go with, instead of thinking for herself, she's going to go with, well, they told me men that I'm supposed to be smarter and more mature. So she's going to go with the lies instead of the facts that she's actually seeing in front of her. And that's because she's unable to think for herself. See, someone convinced her that men are a certain way. And even when she sees a man who's not that way, or she meets several men, she's going to have a hard time believing it because her brain has already been programmed to believe men think with their little head. They're not as smart or more mature as women. So you have to show men the way. And even when they say something, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a man. She can't think for herself. So why would you want to be in a relationship with someone who cannot actually acknowledge with her own mind and eyes because she's listening to someone else? So let's get down to it. We're going to get down to number one. Drop a little science on number one. But the number one reason you should not. Number one reason. I know a lot of you guys try to what I'm going to say. And I'm going to back up everything. And I'm going to ask you as men to learn to think for yourself. And I know some guys were raised by single mothers. But I'm now speaking to you man to man. I want to lay this out. Number one reason you should not be in a relationship with a woman, very simply, body count. Yeah, man. Her body count. So let's deal with some facts. And I know many of you have been told, well, it doesn't matter. Body count doesn't matter. And if a man can do it, a woman can do it. And this whole equality thing. Biochemically, we are not equal. We just are not. So if a woman has sex with 6 men, she's 3 times more likely to be in an emotionally unstable relationship. Do you hear that? Right? So with 5, it may not be in her best interest, but when she, like number 6 is the tipping point. It pushes her, it starts to push her on this downward spiral. She gets to number 6, she's 3 times less likely to be in an emotionally stable relationship. See, women were told they can do anything a man can do. And the feminists who told them this were irresponsible. They never told little girls there would be consequences. And there's a book called Hooked. 2 doctors, a male and female gynecologist, they wrote about the bond and break experience. They wrote about women being promiscuous. They wrote about women being hooked on this dopamine rush of having sex with different men. And so what does this mean? Oxytocin secretes, women secrete much more oxytocin than men. And oxytocin is the bonding neurochemical. Women have it when they get pregnant. They have it when they have sex with a man, even touching and talking to a man. Women secrete more. Men secrete it. We just take longer to secrete it and we don't secrete as much. Testosterone blocks the flow of oxytocin. So ladies, if you're arguing with your man, he's not bonding with you. Testosterone is kicking and it's blocking his bonding neurochemical. So what happens when women secrete oxytocin? She has sex, even if it's a one-night stand. She has sex with the guy, she secretes oxytocin, and then she stops having sex with the guy. So she starts to bond, and then she breaks. So when women go through this bond, secrete oxytocin, bond, and then break, and she does that bond, break, she does that over and over, it eventually causes emotional trauma to the woman. So they give a number. If she has sex with 5 men, bond and break, and then she has number 6, that's when it starts to have a real negative impact. And there are all kinds of statistics that show women who have sex with, or marry as a virgin, or marry the first guy they have sex with, have a much higher chance of a successful marriage than a woman who's had sex with more men. And even in those stats, this shows when she gets to number 6, the numbers start to drop significantly. So, so think about it. If a woman has a high body count, she's going to experience trauma, emotional trauma, over and over again. So she's not going to be even emotionally stable enough to be in a healthy relationship. And because her brain has been traumatized over time, for her, it's going to look like she's being normal, and she's going to claim, well, you just can't handle me. When she's aberrated, like she's a dysfunctional woman. She's not even whole and complete because she's done the bond and break. She's disrupted her natural essence as a woman. So she's not even presenting the integrity, like the whole and completeness of a woman. She's presenting something else. And so there's something else with that, right? So not just for the man to deal with that, psychologists are seeing more women complain about going through rages with their young children. Like these women are saying they can't understand why they just have this rage. Their child, 3-year-old, spills milk. I mean, that's common. But she's going through a rage, or she's going through a rage of a child not being able to dress themselves well at 3 or 4. See, women are becoming or believing they can sleep with many men, and it has no effect, but it's having not only an effect in their relationship with their man, it's also affecting their relationship with their children. And see, when a man wants to correct her behavior, this emotionally unstable behavior, she'll claim that he's trying to be controlling. And she might even retaliate with physical or verbal abuse towards the man. And if you think that doesn't happen, the Harvard Medical School says women initiate 70% of domestic violence. 70. That means 30% is initiated by men, and 2.5 times that is initiated by women. See, women already have less stable brains than men. That's why women are more likely to suffer from anxiety and depression, and they are 3.45 times more likely to attempt suicide because of that, because of the instability in their brains. It's not bad or wrong, it's just the way they were designed. So promiscuity and a high body count just makes her more unstable. Imagine this kind of woman attempting to lead a man. I mean, how many of you guys are signing up for that? So when a woman says her body count doesn't matter, she's oblivious to what it takes to make a relationship work. No man should risk his peace of mind and resources on an emotionally unstable woman. So when a man says, I want to know your body count, he has good reason to want to know. And I understand you ladies believe you can lie. But men, when you see the red flags of this emotional instability, her thinking she can be tough and, I'll beat your ass and I'm not scared. Like, where's this instability? She's not masculine. I already went through that one. She's not being feminine. So, as you can see, women who believe they can be promiscuous are not thinking for themselves. And when you tell her there are consequences, she attempts to play victim and say you want to control her. In her mind, she can justify why does she not want to be led by you. Then she begins the journey of losing femininity. So as you see these top 10 at some point become interwoven and connect with one another. They overlap. And body count is a major reason to not want to be in a committed relationship with a woman. So if I give you these last five, number five, not being feminine. Number four, she does not want to be led by you. She'll never be able to tell you. She'll play victim, her inability to think for herself, and that's just dangerous. And her body count. So, guys, he and I have laid out the top 10. If you think I missed one, I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you think I missed? Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for your support. If you're not subscribed to my channel, smash that bell so you can hear when I put other things out. If you haven't checked me out on Patreon, check me out. Like this video, subscribe, want to hear your comments. And hey, if anyone, men or women, don't like what I said and you want to dislike it, go ahead. But I want to hear why you dislike it. Give me your reason. Tell me. I want to hear it. But until then, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for checking me out. And I'll be back to you soon with live streams and more video. Take care. Bye. And hey, watch those high body counts, man. Be good.